Welcome back to another episode of the Story Seeker podcast. Today I am here in the middle of Alaska. It's not actually the middle, it's the southern portion of Alaska. Oh man, I look pretty hideous. It's because the wind is insanely strong and my hair would be making it impossible for me to see if I didn't have my hood on right now. Anyways, if you listened to my last episode, you know that I'm currently on a cruise. I am walking around the ship right now, just doing a little loop outside. It is around sunset. I'll show you some of the scenery. It's around sunset. It's maybe, actually it's a bit after 9 p.m. Sunset's pretty late here in the summer. And I figured I would just walk around, record a podcast. I'm not going to be holding my phone the whole time, I don't think, because that just seems really annoying. I'll probably put it down in a minute and just put some photos and videos that I've shot here on the screen. But yeah, I don't really have much at all planned for this podcast. I have pretty much a half hour tops to record it. And then after that, I have a chocolate parade event of some kind that I must attend at 9:45. So, hey, chocolate comes first, podcast comes second. Anyways, also, hopefully the audio isn't absolutely terrible because I could see it being terrible. I do have the wind, miniature dead cat on the microphone. However, it is insanely windy at times, and yeah, wow, there's our horn. I tried to turn on noise canceling mode on this wireless microphone that I'm using, but I've never tried it before, and I don't even know if I properly turned it on. I'm turning my phone around for a second. Look at this. I mean, it's just clouds over the ocean and then mountains, sunset. It's pretty ridiculous. So I'll show you some of the photos I've gotten and videos from the trip so far. Hopefully I don't drop my phone in the ocean. Anyways, so yeah, I guess I'll just get started and start popping some stuff up on screen. Absolutely no pressure to watch the video version. You can just play this in the background while you're editing or whatever. That's what I tend to do while listening to podcasts. But yeah. So the other challenge here is that I am pretty much in public. There are people around me, not a ton of them, but honestly it makes it a bit more awkward, like the less people there are, in a sense. Like if there's going to be people, you'd rather either like pretty much no one or a ton of people, because if it's a ton of people then like no one really pays attention to you and it's fine. If there's one person, everyone is paying attention to you, or that one person is paying attention to you, and you're paying attention to them, and it's really awkward. So if I pause for an extended period of time and don't talk, that's why, and I may cut it out. There's our horn again. It is super foggy right now. You can see like a couple hundred feet out, and that's it. Pretty cool, pretty cool. I love fog as a photographer and as a muggle. Okay, so like I said, I have pretty much nothing planned out for this. Who knows if the audio will even sound remotely good enough to actually upload this, because it is a podcast and you're going to be listening to the audio for a half hour, and it would suck listening to a podcast with shitty audio. I apologize. My audio has been in my previous episodes, and it's probably going to be even worse this time. But maybe not. Maybe the noise canceling and miniature dead cat will clean everything up. Anyways, I'm feeling pretty talkative today. Everything's flowing well. Wow, my microphone is like about to fly off my sweatshirt. It's clipped on tightly, but the wind is just trying to rip it off. Anyways, we're in a bit of a protected area now. I'm going to pull up my phone and take a look at a couple of things that I wrote down. I really wrote down really nothing. It's 3 bullet points that all connect they're all like basically the same idea. So yeah, let's get into it. First thing that I was thinking about, honestly, right before I started recording this episode is, what is even the point of putting these episodes out in the public at all if I don't care about how they're going to perform? Because last episode I said, and it's true, that I'm trying not to care how they perform. I made a new channel for the podcast, and nobody saw my last podcast episode, to be honest. And it is what it is. Again, that's not the reason I'm doing it as of right now. Maybe one day it will be. Right now it's not. And I will say I feel like I have learned things from just doing the podcast. Wow, our horn is just going off like every 2 minutes. Doesn't usually do this. But ship horns are a really cool sound. Just so you know. Also, I feel like my neck is like bouncing into the dead cat because my hood is up and I can't really do anything to get it out of my face. I tried putting it on this magnet so I could put it lower down in my sweatshirt, but honestly I was scared that the microphone would just blow away in the wind. So it's clipped on, which I'm still a little scared it's gonna blow away, but hopefully it won't. Anyways, if not, I have another mic. We'll keep the show going inside. So, as I was saying, yeah, before I recorded this episode, I was like, is there even a point to putting these episodes out publicly if I don't care about how many people see them? And realistically, right now, no one is seeing them, and probably for a long time, no one will see them. And I determined, yeah, like there is a bit of a point. There is a difference in, like, I used to record voice memo journals on my phone, just talking to myself. Again, you know, it's a journal, but in oral form. And I loved that practice, and I still do it occasionally. And I've done it before certain like big days. I'll do it late at night when I'm thinking about what's gonna happen the next day. It is insanely foggy. I can see pretty much nothing but just blue void as I look out, and it's pretty sick. And water. Wow, this is cool. I'm gonna take a photo and put it in right now just on my phone so you can see what I'm talking about. Pretty freaking cool. All right, so as I was saying, I don't really know what the point is of putting them out publicly, but maybe there is a point because, wow, our horn again. Oh my God. All right, so this thing just keeps interrupting me. There is a point in putting them out. And there's people walking towards me. 2 lone walkers. I'm gonna go silent for a minute. As, yeah, I just can't. All right, we've officially passed them. I feel like it's even like if I'm talking to my phone and like vlogging, it's even a bit less awkward. Like it's still awkward. Like, what the hell are you doing? No one's watching you do this. Like, this is ridiculous. But like, no one's watching your vlog is what I mean. But it's a little less ridiculous because at least they understand what's going on. With this is literally just I'm talking to myself, and sure, there is a microphone on my shirt, but they have no idea what it is. They can't tell that's a microphone. Oh man, it's about to blow off. And so it literally just looks like I'm a psychopath. It also could be that I have AirPods in and I'm talking to someone on the phone, but still pretty weird. And yeah, I don't really want to do that. We'll see. Maybe the next lap around, I'll be able to keep talking. We'll see. One day. Oh man, wind. Okay. Fucking Christ. Okay. I have no idea if you can hear those gusts of winds. Hopefully not, but if you can, I'm sorry. And yeah, anyways. So, as I was saying, there is something about knowing that something is going to be put out on the internet that changes the way you think of it. And there is some value, I think, in putting things out and not just, having it stored in the voice memos of my phone forever. Again, I think that's a great practice. I think journaling is a great practice. And I think the podcast so far hasn't truly been a form of journaling in that I'm not authentically just writing what I'm thinking about in the moment. I'm trying to prepare it and I'm trying to make it something a bit entertaining. I'm trying to collect and organize my thoughts beforehand to present my, last week's thoughts in a, again, presentable manner. But, oh man, we're coming around to these people again fairly quickly. All right, so, not yet though, don't worry. We'll see if I'm able to keep talking here. Looks like they've gone to look out the window. So, yeah, there is something valuable in knowing that something's going to be put out on the internet, and it's not just talking to myself. Talking to myself, I can just say whatever the hell I want. I can pause as much as I want. I can use as many filler words as I want, and it matters literally zero because no one cares. No one's watching it outside of me. I can say extremely personal things. Again, it doesn't matter. So it's not scary at all because anything that I say, it's like I am the only person who's going to be listening to this. Presentations would not be scary if you're just doing them alone in your room, right? But part of the public speaking skill is doing them in public in front of a ton of people. Or not a ton, but just any people, sometimes horn again. So yeah, that is kind of my justification for putting it out. Even if nobody sees it, still the idea that I'm putting it out on the internet, anyone can see it, my family can see it, my friends can see it if they wanted to. And again, that puts a certain pressure on you that you don't get, that I don't get when I just record a voice memo on my phone. Okay, I've drilled that point home enough. You understand what I'm saying. And again, I keep talking about this whole thing of like the goal. Yeah, actually, let me backtrack a little bit. The coming into like yesterday or earlier today or something, I was thinking about recording a podcast here, and even just thinking about the podcast in general and thinking, what is even the point of continuing it at all? And I've done 3 episodes. The first one, a lot of people watched on my channel, on my main channel, Ben Lerner, and the second one, less people watched, but still good amount of people watched it. I got a bunch of nice comments, good response. Feeling like we're building this community here and people care about what I have to say. Third one, moved over to a different channel. I haven't had too much internet, but from what I've seen, not many people have seen it. Not many people have commented on it. And yeah, I mean, again, it's going back to what I was talking about before, but just thinking about it in general, like, why am I doing this if no one's gonna see it? And thinking about then how I initially defined success for myself in the pursuit of creating this podcast. I did not define success for myself at the beginning. Publicly, I did not say success is getting 1,000 views on a podcast. I did not say success is getting a bunch of people to listen to me talk. I said success is getting through the episodes and simply creating the podcast every week. That's what I said. It can be absolutely terrible and no one can listen to it, but I still accomplished my goal of making it. That's what I set out for myself, not to have it become popular. So that's what I'm trying to measure myself by. And so that's what I told myself when I was feeling like, man, what's the point of this? No one is seeing this. It doesn't matter what I'm saying. It doesn't matter that I'm doing this. Why am I taking the time? And again, I'm doing it to accomplish the goal that I set out for myself. And this is what I can expect. It truly, whatever. I'm I'm stuttering a little bit because my brother is walking around me now, getting some behind the scenes footage for a video that he's making about me, I think. And yeah, that was enough to kind of throw me off track. But anyways, the point that I was trying to make with all of this is that I do a lot of repetition with the things that I say in this podcast. And at first, I was thinking about that and thinking, man, like I wrote down the notes for this podcast, the few notes that I had, and I was thinking after I wrote them down, like, this is very similar stuff to what I've said in previous podcasts. And then I was thinking about, you know what? That's not necessarily a terrible thing. A lot of the favorite creators that I have do have a lot of repetition in the ideas that they talk about. And often I find that I don't need new novel ideas to get something out of a piece of content, a podcast, whatever it may be. Often it's just reminders of things that I already know. And that alone is often amazing and super helpful. So that gave me confidence to be like, okay, sometimes people just need to be reminded of what they already know and not necessarily told something new. And that goes for myself as well. And again, it's the same thing about, like, these are just my thoughts. I'm not making a new novel presentation each week. I'm just talking. I'm just talking each week. That's pretty much all it is just talking for a half hour, 45 minutes, an hour every week to a camera, or in this case, at least a microphone, and posting it on the internet. I honestly feel like I'm going a little bit crazy right now, but I think it is really important to, with any sort of goal, to first of all, set goals, and then define success through specific goals. For me, maybe that's just, create and post a podcast every week for the rest of this calendar year, Horn again. And it's, I don't know, I've really just been struggling with lately, like, not having clear, defined definitions of success. And it's pretty much impossible to land the dart on a moving bullseye or an invisible bullseye if you haven't defined success. Again, by defining success as creating a podcast every week, I am currently creating a podcast. As long as the audio comes out okay and I'm able to post it, I did what I had to do. It doesn't really matter for the purposes of this goal whether it sucks or not. And then I can, again, feel like I succeeded, I accomplished what I set out to do, and not wonder, oh, I made a podcast, but, like, was it good? And never feel like I really accomplished what I set out to do. I set out to make a podcast. I didn't set out to make a good podcast. Again, I'm repeating the same thing over and over. But even for other things, I talked about last episode, wanting to make more tutorial content for my Instagram, short form videos, because those have been doing insanely well. That video, the last tutorial I made, has, since the last podcast continued growing, I am now at over 7,000 followers on Instagram as of yesterday, the last time I had internet. And it got to 250,000 views, which I've never had on a podcast before, I've never had on any video that I've personally made before. So it's doing great. And I talked about it last episode how I want to make more content like that, because the 2 videos I've made like that, or I've made 3 basically, but the last 2 that I've made like that have done incredibly well. And I mean, literally, I've made just a handful of them. And it feels like, imagine what I could do if I was really pumping these out. So again, I want to do the same thing there, where I'm defining success as a certain output, you know, whether it's 1 video, 1 tutorial a week, or 2 tutorials a week, or whatever the hell it is, but saying, okay, this is what success is for me in this area, and if I meet it, amazing. And I was seeing a Tom Nosk, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but I follow him on Instagram, and he's amazing. I also applied to be a video editor for him, but I think chances are I will not get that position. Just don't think my portfolio is quite strong enough. And he also wanted someone local to him in Australia, near Melbourne, which I am very far away from. So anyways, he made a post talking about how defining success as well as rewarding yourself when you achieve that success is really important, as a way to sort of, I suppose, I don't know, set up that reward system, that good feeling when you accomplish the things that you want to accomplish. And again, I do think it's important, because guessing what's going to make you feel like you succeeded is a pretty bad way to try to accomplish things, but it's mostly been what I'm doing. I actually did set some goals, and I have been setting goals for most of this year, but last couple of months in the summer, to be honest, that action has pretty much fizzled out. I haven't done much of it, and for the first few months of the year, I was creating, so honestly, like the first half of the year, like pretty much through June, I was creating 90-day goals, as well as 30-day goals, as well as weekly goals, and it was a great system. You know, having a system where you have sort of the small, medium, and large, whatever that is for you, and it doesn't have to be 3 stages, but whatever it is, just having, you know, smaller as well as, or just different sizes of goals. And often the larger goals can be more results oriented. So I want to reach this amount of followers or subscribers, or I want to make this much money over the course of months or a year or years or whatever it is. But then in the smaller goals, you kind of break down, and this is how I'm going to get to X amount of money, or this amount of followers is I'm going to, you know, again, let's say my goal is by the end of I'm just using this as an example, by the end of 2024, I want to get to 100,000 followers on Instagram, for example. And then I say, okay, well, how am I going to get there? You know, let's say for the next month, I'm going to post a total of 6 tutorials. And then after I do that, hopefully I succeed. And then the next month, I can look at the performance of those videos and how easy or hard it was to make 6 of them, and adjust that, you know, based on whatever I think. Maybe I decide tutorial videos aren't it. I want to try something else, whatever it may be. But focusing on the long-term goals, you know, they can be outcome focused, but the shorter-term goals, having those ones be process focused, because that is what you look to on a day-to-day basis for, okay, like, what is on my to-do list today? Well, I have to make 6 tutorials this month. Let me go script, you know, a couple of them right now. And then even the weekly goals are great. You know, this week's a little bit busy. I'm not going to do as many. This week I have plenty of time. I'm going to try to do some more. Yeah. hopefully that explanation was solid. Kind of don't know where else I'm going. Let's see what time it is, how long it's been. It is 9:42, so looks like I'm going to wrap up this podcast. I did not realize that we were going for that long, which is cool, to be honest. I'm turning on my phone camera now. It has gotten significantly darker outside. Still looks beautiful, super foggy. I love it. There's my brother. He's right there. You can't hear him though. Hopefully you can hear me. Anyways, so I hope you enjoyed this podcast, or didn't. Doesn't really matter to me. It does matter to me deep inside, but whatever. Anyways, if you made it this far, as always, lots of love for you, and I'll see you in the next episode back in my hometown in New Jersey. Most likely, you never know, but most likely back in my house, in my comfortable, warm room. So, yeah.
Đi về chat.